Assalamualaikum, good afternoon, especially to Ma'am Tumakdir. So our report is a presentation about the educational system of Australia and compared to the educational system of the Philippines. Curriculum development in math and science prepared by me, Alom Giselle G, and Amba by Alea G. So what is a K-12 program? K-12 is an educational system under the Department of Education that aims to improve learners' fundamental skill, generate more competent citizens, prepare graduates for lifelong learning and employment. K represent for kindergarten and 12 stand for 12 years of basic education that follow 6 years of elementary education, 4 years of junior high school, and 2 years of senior high school. The imperative for K-12, so streamline that curriculum to improve mastery of basic competency, so ensure the seamlessness of primary, secondary, and post-secondary competencies, that is what we call the senior high school, post-secondary. Then improve teaching through the use of enhanced pedagogies, example the spiral progression in science and math and medium of instruction. Then expand job opportunity by reducing job skill mismatch and provide better preparation for higher learning. So the K-12 curriculum model, grade 11 to 12, that is senior high school, core subject, language including language literature plus track, technical, vocational, livelihood, education, yung TBL. Academic track naman yung HES, that is what HUMS, no? Humanities and social sciences, yung mga gustong maging teacher, no? Yung STEM naman is science and technology, engineering, mathematics, gusto maging mga BS Chem, BS Physics, mga engineering courses. Okay, so ang ABM naman yung gusto maging accountancy, yung in maging business, no? Business management. Plus yung GAS, no? Yung GAS kasi tinanggal na, although meron pang GAS, pero ang GAS is General Academic Strand. So medyo dinidiscourage pagkuha ng GAS kasi nga wala masyadong direction pagdating sa college. So kaya lang merong GAS because of yung mga estudyante na undecided pa. So then sports and arts. Grade 9 to 10 is school learning, area plus elective. And grade 7 to 8, that is exploratory and technology and livelihood education. The comparison of the old curriculum and the K-12. Sa old curriculum, you have two choices, college and tertiary and vocational. Yung sa TESDA or mga secretary before, no? Secretary, 2 years courses. Then ang K-12 pwede after you graduate and senior high school, pwede employment, although ito ay hindi masyado yung employment, no, entrepreneurship, kasi yung graduate ng senior high school is wala ding kumukuha compare sa college graduate. So, entrepreneurship, middle level skills development, and higher education. So usually pumunta rin sila sa higher education, yung mga graduate ng senior high school. Okay, the K-12 basic framework, it focus on the holistic development of the learner. It means the physical, mental, and as well as the spiritual development of the learner. It outcome based. Prepared learners for higher education, middle level skills, employment, and entrepreneurship. It anchor on the principle of inclusive education, so education for all, no? So yung IFA, no? Education for all. learning, growth and development, teaching and learning, and assessment. General expectancies, content standard as benchmark of knowledge and skill, define what the student are expected to know what they should be able to do with that they know, and the meaning or understanding that they should distract or not should construct or make us the process that fact and information, specify essential knowledge, skills, and habits of mind that should be taught and learned, answer the question, what do you want the student to know, be able to do, and understand. That is content. Performance standard as benchmark for transfer of learning. Define the expected proficiency level expressed in two ways. Student should be able to use their learning or understanding in their life situation and do this on their own. So that is why yung mga example natin in the classroom is in the real life situation. And then answer the question, what do you want the student to do with their learning and understanding? How do we want them to use their learning or understanding? So the assignment that we are going to answer is the examine the K-12 curriculum and identify the core standard competencies that are required for all students to know and do. Analyze the national curriculum standard of the countries and basic education like Australia. What is called learning design? This curriculum design focus on learning a set of common subject, discipline, courses, skills, or knowledge that is necessary for students to master. So the K-12 is the core curriculum. So it focuses on the learning, not the learner, no? So in learning, that is core curriculum. The K-12 curriculum contains a learning scope of essential skills, knowledge, attitudes, life skills, learning to learn skills, values, desire for learners. Learners are expected to demonstrate learning competencies from each of the learning strands. So every strand sa mayroong mga learning competencies. No, each learning strand provide content standard. Okay, so may content standard. These are statement of the core content in terms of knowledge, skills the student should learn and understand. Under the content standard are the number of performance standards. So mayroong mga performance standard. They are the work that learners are expected to be able to do. This demonstrate the achievement, acquisition, and application of knowledge or skill required by the content standard. Comprising performance standard are learning competencies. These are more specific applied knowledge, skill, and values that indicate or validate learning consistent with the broader content and performance standard. So dito na yung kumbaga is sinasama rin, no, yung sa performance standard. The curriculum indicates to what the learner's level and learning competency is applicable. So, for example, in the curriculum guide of K-12, DepEd K-12 in science, content, example, matter, content standard, the learner demonstrate understanding of way of sorting materials and describing them as solid, liquid, or gas based on observable properties. Performance standard, the learner should be able to group common object found at home and school according to solid, liquid, and gas. And most essential learning, please classify object and materials as solid, liquid, and gas based on some observable characteristic. So thank you, and that is my part.
An effective curriculum provides teachers, students, administrators, and community stakeholders with a measurable plan and structure for delivering equality education. The curriculum identifies the learning outcomes, standards, and core competencies that students must demonstrate before advancing to the next level. There is the importance of understanding the curriculum in education. Now, we will proceed to the educational system of Australia. In comparison to other countries, Australia's education system is largely privatized in both the school and higher education sectors. In terms of student enrollment, private schools accounted for 34.6% of school enrollments in year 2016, yet public university accounted for 93% of higher education enrollments. The Australian Education Act, year 2013 revised in year 2017, is the primary legislation governing school funding. Schools in Australia are divided into two categories. First, public or government schools. Second, private or non-government schools. Australia's education system, like that of the Philippines, begins with preschool or early childhood education for children aged 3 to 5 years old, though this is not mandatory. Students then proceed to primary school, secondary schooling, or high school. Public primary and secondary schools in Australia are free, but some asked for voluntary fees, some school expenses. Students can pursue post-secondary education by enrolling in a vocational education and training or VET program, a route program, or a bachelor's degree after high school. For both domestic and international students, Australia's education system is regarded as one of the greatest in the world. It has strong academic standards, a broad curriculum, and highly qualified teachers. Education in Australia is similar across all 6 states, including Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, and Western Australia, and its two territories, the Australian Capital Territory and the Commonwealth Territory. The Australian education system is broadly structured as follows. First, primary school. Second, secondary school. Third, senior secondary school. And lastly, the tertiary education. Primary school, 7 or 8 years, starting at foundation through to year 6 or 7. Secondary school, 4 years from year 7 or 8 to 10. Senior secondary school, 2 years from years 11 to 12. Tertiary education includes higher education and vocational education and training or VET. The Department of Education and Training or DET. The key Australian government agency responsible for national education policies and programs is the Department of Education and Training, whose responsibility include first, early childhood, next, schooling, higher education teaching and research, vocational education and training or VET, and international education. That develops and implements education policies and initiatives to meet the priorities and aims of the Australian government. The objectives are met via working with state, territory, and regional networks as well as engaging non-government parties. Australia education system versus Philippines education system. Australia provide a free, high standard and accessible education to citizens. Compulsory education of 7 years in primary school and 5 years in high school. Australian students spend 6 hours at school per day. Private school are most religion-based. Some may be boys or girls. Philippines provide a low-budget education, although DepEd receives biggest budget allocation from the government funds. K-12 program add 2 more years for senior high school. Filipino students spend minimum of 8 hours at school per day. Public schools, foreign ethnic religious, laboratory, and science high schools are provided. Australia has NAPLAN test based on curriculum, Australian tertiary admission ranked, and Australian schools does not control the discipline of the students. Philippines has Philippine National Achievement Test, which will be taken by grade school to high school. Philippine National College Entrance Examination and Philippine schools control the discipline of the students. Philippine K-12 basic education curriculum includes elementary, kindergarten, grade 1 to 6, junior high school, grade 7 to 10, grade 7 to 8, that is exploratory TLE, and then grade 9 to 10 specialized TLE. Senior high school core subjects, we have tracks. The applied track subjects include academic, technical vocational livelihood, sports, and lastly, arts and design. Philippine K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. Alternative Learning System or ALS K-12 Basic Education Program. Strand 1. Communication Skills, English and Filipino. Strand 2. Scientific literacy and critical thinking skills. Strand 3. Mathematical and problem solving skills. Strand 4. Life and career skills. Strand 5. Understanding the self and society. Strand 6. Digital literacy. We have also here the curriculum guides from kindergarten, grade 1 to 10, senior high school core curriculum subjects, senior high school applied track subjects, and senior high school specialized subjects. The three dimensions of the Australian curriculum includes 3 cross-curriculum priorities, 8 learning areas, and 7 general capabilities. The Australian curriculum is designed to develop successful learners, confident and creative individuals, and active and informed citizens. It is presented as a learning path from foundation to year 10 that explains what will be taught and the level of learning required of young people as they go through school to teachers, parents, students, and others in the community. Teachers are the primary audience for the Australian curriculum. The program is compact and written in simple language while maintaining a level of complexity suited for professionals. Teachers benefit from consistency in terms of terminology and overall organization in and across learning areas. The Foundation Year 10 Australian curriculum is described as a three-dimensional curriculum that recognizes the central importance of disciplinary knowledge, skills and understanding, general capabilities, and cross-curriculum priorities. Disciplinary knowledge is found in the 8 learning areas of the Australian curriculum. This includes English, mathematics, science, health and physical education, humanities and social sciences, the arts, technologies, and languages. In each learning area or subject, content descriptions specify what young people will learn, and achievement standards describe the depth of understanding and the sophistication of knowledge and skill expected of students at the end of each year level or band of years in their schooling. Alongside disciplinary knowledge, the Australian curriculum provides 7 general capabilities: literacy, numeracy, information and communication technology capability, critical and creative thinking, personal and social capability, ethical understanding, and intercultural understanding. The general capabilities comprise an integrated and interconnected set of knowledge, skills, behaviors, and dispositions that apply across subject-based content and equip students to be lifelong learners and be able to operate with confidence in a complex, information-rich, globalized world. The Australian curriculum also includes three current cross-curriculum priorities that are to be developed where relevant through the learning areas. These are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander histories and cultures, Asia and Australia's engagement with Asia, and sustainability. The priorities are not separate subjects in themselves, they are addressed through learning area content, where appropriate and identified by icons, a set of organizing ideas that reflect the essential knowledge, understanding, and skills has been developed for the curriculum priority. So these are the Australian curriculum, and that would be all. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Let us now proceed to the Australia's four stages of education system. The first one is the early childhood education, age 4 to 5. Kindergarten is officially the first stage of formal schooling in Australia. The aim is to teach children to work with others, make friends, express their creativity, build communication skills, reading, writing, and numeracy skills required to effectively participate in subsequent learning opportunities. Second one is the primary school education, age 6 to 11. Primary schools offer programs from foundation to year 6. Primary schools develop essential literacy, numeracy, intellectual, and social emotional skills. The third one is secondary school education. This is age from 12 to 18. Secondary schools cater for students' educational needs from year 7 to year 12. Australia's secondary school education system adheres to a national curriculum framework. So, in this case, in some states, students can drop out at year 10 to enroll for vocational training and pursue an apprenticeship. So, they can able to look for a job. So, here in the Philippines, elementary, high school man yan, there are some students na nag-work na at pinagsasabay yung pagtatrabaho at pag-aaral. So, the case na ganun, there are factor na naapektuhan yung performance ng bata sa school. The subject thoughts are math, science, English, humanities and social sciences, arts, technologies, health and physical education, languages, and work studies. Uh, we tried to search about the content curriculum of the Australia. So here in the picture, we have English, mathematics, science, humanities, and social studies, the arts, technologies, health and physical education, and languages. So let us now see yung sciences, kung ano yung content ng sciences. So kung i-click natin itong science, so ito po yung lalabas. Ito. Okay, let us now proceed to the content curriculum of the Australia. So let us compare the content curriculum of the Philippines and the Australia. So here in the Philippines, we have the curriculum guide or ngayon tinatawag na siyang MELC. So doon po nakikita ng teacher kung ano yung content standard, performance standard na dapat ma-achieve ng bata in every quarter. So here, the example is the Science 7 of the Australia. Remember, Science 7 lang po ito. So, the first one is the biological science. So, yan po yung first quarter nila, biological sciences. Second quarter is chemical sciences. Third is earth and space sciences. Fourth is the physical sciences. So, when it comes to the Philippines, the same content naman sila, but mas nauuna yung chemical sciences. Ang first quarter ng Philippines ay chemical sciences. And the second quarter is biological sciences. Third quarter is physical sciences. And lastly, fourth quarter nila ay ang earth and space sciences. So the fourth stage of education is the higher education in Australia. It is also known as the tertiary education. Higher education in Australia includes all formal education beyond high school. It is divided into two sectors: vocational education, training or VET, which is registered and regulated by the Australian Skills Quality Agency, and the universities, which are registered by the Tertiary Education Quality and Standards Agency, or the TEXA. So regarding on the medium of learning in the Australia, English as the official language. So they are also using the English as the official language. English is the official language of Australia and the main language of instruction. So some schools offer bilingual programs or programs in the other languages. So we are the same here in the Philippines. We have our mother tongue and then English. Let us now proceed to the alternative education in Australia. The first one is homeschooling in Australia. Homeschooling is legal in all Australian states and territories. Each state or territory has a homeschool registration authority that seeks to register homeschooled children and to monitor their academic work. Parents can teach their children or employ a tutor, so they can able to hire a tutor. Across Australia, there are around 20,000 homeschooled students and the numbers are growing. So papalaki ng papalaki yung homeschooling sa Australia. And we have the distance education in Australia. Online and distance education programs allow students to obtain an Australian education qualification using the latest digital technologies. Students that prefer online education often live in remote areas. So, mas nag-a-avail yung mga nasa remote areas nitong distance education. Have learning or other special needs like ADHD, or are the children of parents working overseas. So yung hindi talaga nakakapunta sa formal schooling or sa private or public schools. Students are supervised by an adult and they learn through webinars, live chat, email, and video recordings. So itong distance education in Australia, na-adapt na natin ngayon dito sa Philippines. Equally, through Open Universities Australia, students can gain higher education degree while maintaining a full-time job. So let's now proceed to the BASH schools. For toddlers ages 2.5 to 5 years, BASH or forest schools led by education rangers get children outdoors playing in the unique Australian landscape. Children engage in bushcraft activities and increase their love for the natural world while becoming school ready. So, at the age of 2.5 to 5 years old pa lang yung bata, ini-encourage na sila to create or to make outdoors activities. And now, blended learning. The impact of COVID-19 has brought blended learning, a combination of face-to-face and online learning, to the forefront, and it is not going away. Blended learning is taking off in classrooms and is expected to grow significantly in the next 5 years. Australian universities are currently engaged in a pilot program with Vietnamese universities in a first attempt of blended transitional higher education. The last one is the adult education. Adult Learning Australia, or ALA, is the national peak body of adult and community education, or ACE. It is a discrete fourth sector of education in Australia that offers disengaged or disadvantaged adults the chance to transition back into learning and develop work skills. And now we have the Australia education system versus Philippines education system. But my co-member will present it, and that would be the part of my report. Thank you very much.